participant. Alright. So, notice anything that changes as you approach the piano. Alright, so is it okay if I work with you a little bit just sitting here, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we're just sitting, right? That's all you're doing. The piano's not there. Ignore the piano and all the stimulus that comes with it. Or reaction to the stimulus, I suppose. And I want to talk a little bit about what we discovered with the arms. Opposition of the back to the arms makes them stronger, right? Makes them more flexible and makes them more adaptable. And I think that's what we really, as musicians, opposition is our friend. It helps us work in a more efficient manner. So as you raise your arms, I want you to think of the opposition of your back, supporting them, kind of like a seesaw, right? There you go. Good. Good. We think width, still in this position. Yeah, there you go. Good. Good, good, good. All right, and come down. So what did you notice?
I think I noticed some widening across the back as I was...
Good, yeah. Did you notice you also took in more air when that width happened?
I noticed I took a breath, but I
Yeah.
wasn't thinking about it.
Yeah, that's awesome because when we did that and you widened, you allowed for more, lung capacity to take in air, right? And that makes us breathe easier, and if we breathe easier, we get more oxygen to the brain, we can think better, right? So it's this little series of events. Okay. Good. Yes, and think easing your neck all the way around. And actually, I want you to think of your spinal cord. There you go. Good. Did you notice what that did for you?
I think it came up a little bit through the spine.
Yeah, because you noticed your whole back, right? Because that whole back is part of the primary control. Good. Do you feel comfortable on the bench?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So, I want you to bring your hands to the keyboard. Good. Good. Did you inhibit before you brought your hands to the keyboard?
I was trying to.
Good. And that's part of inhibition. It's not always something that we decide just not to do. You can decide after you inhibit to do something, but, it's one way or the other. Or actually there's many ways because you could do, a number of other things. You could turn and walk out of the room. That's also a choice. So, if you were going to play something, what would you play? Good. All right, awesome. So, I actually want to bring specific attention to where you messed up.
Yeah,
Not because you messed up, but I want you to see if you observed anything that changed when that happened.
I grimaced.
You grimaced, right? Yes. We grimaced. What else? If anything else you noticed. You may not have noticed anything.
I probably tightened up a little bit, but across the shoulders. I'm just guessing at this point.
Yeah, I think you tightened a little bit, came in your head. When you grimaced, you kind of rolled your eyes and brought your head backwards, right? That's fine. right? It's fine to have those reactions. It really is. We just don't want them to dictate our behaviors and our mental states and our physical beings and our musicianship, right? The big difference. Choice. Just the basic choice to do something else. That's what we're working for. This idea that we get to choose, you know? And we have the ability to choose. Because for a lot of people who have those facial tics whenever they screw up in the music, right? They don't know they're doing it. I was teaching this little girl who used to roll her eyes at me. For 3 months, rolling her eyes, and I was like, one lesson I was like, I've had it. You roll your eyes one more time, you're out of here. And she didn't even know she was doing it. It was just an instinctual, protective thing for her. Because whenever she didn't understand, she found that if she rolled her eyes, it made it somebody else's fault, not hers. Right? It was her way of protecting herself. But she didn't know she was doing it. And that lack of choice is truly unfortunate. Because it's manifested in a certain set of behaviors, of, physical behaviors that she didn't get to choose. And that's not okay. Because that could hinder her learning capabilities. That can hinder her advancement in violin technique. It can hinder her social interactions. Who wants to be friends with someone who rolls their eyes at you continuously? Right? And then she would go through life not knowing why. That's not okay. So that's what we need. We want choice in this matter, right? So what you did, you made the choice, your grimace. But as you came back, and I think this is because of your Alexander technique, you did come out of it a little bit. You adjusted, right? You were like, I can't, and that happened. And you went on, and I think that's one of the great things the Alexander technique gives us, is this idea that, yeah, I screwed up, but you don't dwell on it. Because I was a big dweller. Before the technique, I screwed up, that really messed everything up for me from then on, right? But after, doing the technique extensively, I can screw up and go, okay, whatever. I'll come back to it in practicing later, right? When I can fix it. Not during a performance, right? I can make the choice. And that has made all the difference in the world. So, but I want to work with your widening, because I think you're right. The just a little bit of narrowing through the shoulders, right? Yes. Getting uncomfortable on the bench?
No.
No?
Just thinking about the keyboard, coming into it.
Good. Yes. So what happened when you started to think about the keyboard?
Well, I moved forward.
Yeah.
Moved forward. Head came down a little bit.
Yeah, exactly, right? Now, I'm not saying that you can't lean forward, right? We just want to do it in the best way possible. That's not going to limit the mobility of our arms. So, if we're just sitting here. Good. Did you notice you automatically came back when I said that? Yes. Means the keyboard has still got you in its grips. That's okay. Well, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Good. Awesome. All right. So if you want to lean forward, how should you do that?
Up and onto my sit bones.
Yeah. And leading with the crown of your head, too. So let's come back. Right? Because we want to lead with that primary control. Yes. How's that different? If it is different.
I'm not sure.
That's okay. Absolutely fine. Okay. So if you want to lean forward into the keyboard, that's fine. You just don't want to come down into the keyboard, right? Because we start tightening things that don't need to be tightened. And
You asked me how it was different.
Yes.
I'm more sure now that it was second time when you were assisting, I was leading with my head. Previously, I was coming up along my back, and I wasn't leading with my head.
Good. Yeah, right? It's that head leading. Sometimes I wish we were four-footed animals, because they lead with their heads so well. Right? They do. They even like when we go to the zoo and the little penguins. Is it not recording anymore?
I don't know.
They lead with their heads, right? And they're a bipedal animal. But even when the penguins do it, they kind of do this little thing. So let's see here.
Yeah, the screen was black a second ago.
Yeah, we're okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just going into save mode. All right. Yeah. So is that leading with the head through pretty much everything, right? Yes. That head. Good. All right. All right. So too close?
Maybe.
Maybe?
Yeah.
So that's okay. So even to come backward, pause.
Even to come backward.
Even to come backwards.
Start with the head.
Start with the head. We think of the primary control, ease in the neck, in the entirety of the neck, so front and back. And back we go, right? Yes. It is so tempting, especially I feel like when we come back from a forward position to go think and kind of just float, throw ourselves back. And remember, we need to think in an efficient manner, right? Efficient manner. All right, awesome. Good, very good. All right, awesome. Now, I think this brings an important point for us, right? Sitting. All you guys sit for your instruments. It's so hard to sit. It really is. It's really hard to sit efficiently without kind of doing something to your back. So while you guys are sitting there, maybe think of how you're sitting, right? Are you on your sits bones? Are you more kind of resting back on your tailbone a little bit? Is your back curved? What's going on while you're sitting? Okay. Good. Remember, you don't have to sit a certain way. That's not what the technique is about. It's not finding the perfect way to stand or the perfect way to sit. It's accessing your mobility. And part of that accessing of the mobility is an understanding of how you are in static or less moving positions. Okay? So when you sit, there's no wrong way to sit. There's maybe a more efficient or better way to sit, but I am not one of those teachers that really believes there's a wrong way to sit. If you are sitting with directions and you are making the conscious choice to sit in any way, then I think that's okay. And if you can help yourself out of that situation, I think that's okay too. Okay? Now when we're playing piano or guitar, we do want kind of a better way to sit, right? Because we're going to be doing it for long periods of time. And when we do that, we really want to be on our sit spoons, right? And we want to think up with the entirety of our spine, spinal cord included, right? All the way down and all the way through the top. Good. And I think that's really the best way to sit in this kind of circumstance, just because you're really stacking the skeletal system on itself. So you have structural integrity, right? Sometimes if we kind of lean forward while we sit and increase this lumbar curve, we do things that aren't, it's not evenly stacked in the body, and I think that causes a little bit of wear. So
So as I was trying to sit upright,
Mm-hmm.
fully along the
Yes.
spine, I was finding it difficult for my legs to be free.
Good. Yes, and you are absolutely right. So what is sitting up properly? You know, everyone's had that old teacher where she's like, sit up properly, and all the students like jump. And what does that mean? What does that usually mean for a lot of people? What is that habit? Yes, right? It's that peacock thing with the pushing up at the chest and really kind of hollowing out the back, right? Now, the reason I don't think that is the best position is because it really narrows the body. And if you do it, so everyone do it real quick. Sit up properly, people. Right?
It's hard to hold it for any period
It's
of
hard to
time.
hold it for long periods of time, right? Can you breathe? No! You can't breathe! Right? That's why I really dislike that position, just because you can't breathe. It's not very flexible, it's not very movable, you feel stuck. You kind of feel like there's a lead weight something on your chest, right? We don't want that. It's hard to hold, you can't breathe. Okay? So, we must resist the habit of sitting up properly, right? Because the piano is a very proper thing. We all think it is. So we must sit properly. But there's a way to do that that is balanced, right? That allows for your lungs to breathe, allows you to take in air and release air, and allows for width. Because I'm sorry.
I was going to say my habit is probably far less to sit up straight than it is to collapse.
Do that one? That's okay. A lot of people do that one too, right? And so let's talk about that one. Everyone go into their slump. Their best slump of their lives. Yes, the best slump of their lives, right? It's great to slump. I love slumping. I do. I will admit it freely. All my Alexander teachers know it. Now, once again, when it doesn't become a choice, that's an issue. Another thing is, can you breathe in this position very well? No, right? You can't breathe in this position. What happens when you limit oxygen to the brain?
Your brain dies.
Well,
Slowly.
yeah, your brain dies. But you limit your mobility.
Painfully.
Alright. You limit your mobility to think, right? When you don't have enough oxygen. So, this is okay. Every once in a while. This is okay every once in a while. But to get stuck in any of those positions is not what we want. Remember, we want choice, right? So, the best way to have choice is to do what?
Choose.
Choose. Yes, but before we choose, what must we do?
Stop.
Stop, right? We have to inhibit. Because otherwise it's not a choice. We don't have a choice. We are habitual creatures. And it's fabulous because that allows us to do enormous amounts of work. Vastly complicated activities, right? We drive. The mental dexterity that it takes to drive, we all kind of underappreciate this, is enormous. Well, think about it. The amount of stimulus you have to take in, all the moving parts, not to mention a judgment of speed within the car and without you, right, on the outside.
Hopefully some awareness of what's going on around you.
Yeah, awareness of what's going on around you. You can't plow into the back of the Subaru, right? That's a bad thing. So, it takes a lot of mental dexterity to do that, right? And so, we need to appreciate that we are habitual beings. And that's fine. It really is. However, it's not okay when it starts giving us pain. Bad habits, it starts making us feel depressed, anxious, stressed out. That's not okay. And that's when we need to do something about it. And that's when we decide, right? That's when we use the principles, we inhibit, we decide. And then, after a while, after you've had several Alexander lessons, you realize that you never really want to go into a slump anymore. On very, very rare occasions do you want to go into a slump, right? Or do you want to do that peacock thing? Because it's just not comfortable. You know something better. Right? It's kind of like having the experience of ice cream and then always choosing Brussels sprouts. Why? No. It's not gonna happen. You're gonna choose the ice cream. Good. Alright, so this time I'm gonna just have my hand on top of your head.
Okay.
Okay? I want you to do the same thing. Cool?
Same thing in terms of what coming up on the bench on my sit bones, or
Well, yes. But playing as
Playing.
well.
All
So,
right.
you know, all the above.
do the hand in again?
Yes. Good. What did you notice?
I was leading with my chest
Yes. Good. If you want to lean forward, do you want to lean forward?
a little bit.
Okay. And that's okay too. I mean, it's probably part of your habit, right? But that's okay. We have to make friends with our habits. Our habits are meant to protect us. Sometimes they don't do a good job, and that's okay. Right? But they are meant. So it is okay to work with them a little bit. Okay? Alright. So then I want you to think of your elbows being wide from the center of your back while still thinking ease in your neck. Good.
Anytime, I assume.
Anytime.
All right.
I'm just hanging out with your primary control. We're good friends. Good. How's that different? Same? Worse? Same.
Well, you were holding my head, so I couldn't look at my fingers, and that that was a little different.
Yes.
More smoothly,
Okay.
perhaps because I had a warm up run.
Yeah, that's also possible. We usually have to give it to that first warm-up run, right? Good. Now this time, I want you to think way width in your elbows, like hands on the back of a chair. Yes. Okay. Back. Inhibit. Ease in your neck. Good. Yes. Good. Now, if you want to look down, whoop, pause.
Did.
Inhibit! Right?
I did want to look down.
I know! And that's okay, because we can look down, right? So use your eyes first.
Yep.
Use the top of your head.
Okay.
Good. Because we can look down with length, or we can look down scrunched. Right? Two options. Well, probably more. It's limiting the body. There's probably more. But for right now. Good. Nice. So whenever you're ready again, pause. Inhibit. Think ease in your neck. Now I need to inhibit. Good. What was it like?
It was hard to keep coming back to my elbows.
Yes.
Thinking my chair directions was difficult.
Yeah. I wonder why that was. You know?
I had some activity going on, I think.
Yeah, sun activity. It always distracts us, right? And that's okay. Right? Because the Alexander technique is not about fixing you. Right? It's about progressive change. It's going to happen over time. It's going to slowly bleed in and it's going to get easier. to think of your elbows. It's gonna be easier to think of yourself while you're playing. Okay? Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any questions so far?